Sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering do or die around me. You say your last good night while I begin
There is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
The ammunition used by Psywar.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldier, and at the same time
is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
gripping at my skin, the walls of night closing.
but the use of this force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
My last goodbye.
These are the Psywar soldiers.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of the host, producers, or any affiliated organization. This podcast may include sensitive discussion related to topics such as child protection, abuse, and criminal behavior. The content is intended for informational, educational, and awareness purposes only, does not constitute legal, medical, or professional advice. Any reference to individuals, cases, or events are based on personal perspective, professional experience, or publicly available information and should not be interpreted as statements of fact regarding any specific person or situation. The host, speakers, and producers disclaim any liability for actions taken by listeners. based on the content of this podcast. Listeners are encouraged to seek qualified professional guidance for their specific circumstances. Listeners' discretion is advised. All individuals are presumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law. Hello, Scrappy Dog, and welcome to Thursday's night's edition of Caught Up, episode 142. We're going to talk a little bit of civics. We're going to talk a little bit of Scotus opinions and all that, man. So, hey, how you been? I ain't talked to you since prior to the 4th of July.
Yep. Busy.
Busy.
Keeping on, doing the same old. You know?
Keep it on.
Making a man. Got a German Shepherd going after the cat.
Oh, I was trying to pull up YouTube here real quick, but there we go.
Well, it's on. I got the notification for it. That's what blanked me out earlier. Busy.
That's what blanked you out earlier? There we go.
Yeah, I got the notifications from Rumble. I got notifications from YouTube. I'm like, what the?
So I got Rumble on my phone because I can't always keep up with the chat on the laptop because I got stuff going on. So I got it. I put the TV on the YouTube, and then Facebook, because it's already on the live thing, it generates it already as one. So, but I tried to create a poll. Not published. I don't understand. Anyway, I was going to create a poll to see what kind of traction it was getting, if they were happy with their local government. Yes, you are, or no, you're not. And apparently Facebook hasn't populated it yet on there. So anyway, that is neat. So how was your 4th of July before we get started?
Oh, it was busy. We had over at a friend's house. We went until like 2 o'clock in the morning, 4th of July. And then neighbors across the street, they put about a $1,500 event on for us. To about 11:37, when the two Blount County officers that were sitting at the end of the road in the turnabout at the circle come down and said, "Y'all did a good job. That's nice. We're not gonna mess with you. We're not here to do it. We had a good time watching what y'all were doing."
That's cool.
Yeah, most of them are. Most of them are pretty cool. Of course, I got pulled over yesterday for not using my turn signal.
Oh gosh, I've been pulled over in a long time, thank God.
But I couldn't believe it. He motorcycle cop, and they were saturating. Burnett Station Road. I mean, they saturated. There were 6 motorcycle cops up and down Burnett Station about 3 o'clock yesterday. And we had a job on Chris Hill doing. We left Chris Hill, and I come and took the first turn off of Chris Hill to get on Burnett Station, and my buddy, he decided he's going to try to beat me. So he's going to do the last turn, or the first turn off coming up Burnett Station. He was going to run down to that one and come down. He topped that hill there, and he seen that as I come rolling by, I seen the motorcycle cop had a guy pulled over there, and so I cruised by and I hit the phone, and I was calling him as he was braking hard to slow down because he topped that hill. Now that cop was sitting on the side of the road. And we're sitting there talking. Next thing I know is this cop pulling me over. He's coming up awful fast. Sure enough.
And he did.
For not using my turn signal. I said, there's cars out there that are made today that do not have turn signals. They don't have them. In the vehicle or nothing. On the vehicle, nowhere. And yet he's gonna pull me over. I know why he pulled me over. But look at my truck. Everything that's on my truck on the back of it. He's like, oh yeah, this is a redneck. This redneck, he got long hair, he got a bandana on his head, big old beard. I know he's smoking pot. Let's pull him over. Don't do it. I haven't done it since '95, so I knew exactly what he's pulling me over for. You know, try to find some reason. Of course, he walked up to the truck. I give him my paperwork, and he said, "You got a little nervous?" I said, "Yeah, I got a gun sitting right here." I mean, no, I am armed. I'm a little nervous. I'm armed. I know how y'all are.
Hey, hang on one second. I'm going to refresh my screen. It's going to pop me out real quick, and I'll put myself right back in. All right.
There you are.
Yeah. I could tell it was me because you would talk and then your lips would move. So I knew it wasn't you. I'm going to share this real quick. You and I were talking about it just prior to the show about my meet and greet. So, right here, Resolute Exposure presents a meet and greet with the host of Blount County Breakdown. I know I included Caught Up, Blount County Breakdown, but just all of us together. You know what I'm saying? It says, come hang out for a casual evening of live dialogue, good company, and great conversation. Whether you're a loyal listener, a local fan, or just want to see the show is what it is all about, we'd love to meet you. When? Tuesday, July 28th, time 7 o'clock, where Maryville Billiards, and parking is limited there. So just know if it's packed, you may have to park somewhere else and then walk over. Food, some refreshments will be available, and I hope to see you there. So
Isn't that over at the little what is it, the little strip mall right there across from the record service, right behind the little station?
So if you're on Broadway and Hall
plenty
Street,
of parking. There's plenty of parking behind it.
Okay.
Going toward the you turn in and go toward the what is it, the Welcome Center.
Yes. Yep.
Right
That's where
there,
it's at. Yep.
there's plenty of parking back in there for people.
Okay.
You just got a little walk, and in fact, you can walk over and go upstairs from the back side.
Huh. So when I say meet the host, I'm talking about me, you, let's see, Robert, Jason, Crystal, if she can make it. She's awful pregnant. She may not be there. Let's see who else. Alan Latham. Anna.
Let's hope Kimber's there so we can give him a hard time.
You can. I'm only there to have a good time. You guys can do your thing. Let's see. Hopefully Anna Gibson shows up. Let's see who else. Catherine.
Maybe Heath.
Let's see, Catherine. Yeah. I think Heath may show up as well.
It'd be good to meet Heath face to face. We talk on. We do a lot of stuff on, Messenger and stuff. So
we're gonna do a show, all three of us together on a Caught Up. The three of us. I think he's having issues right now because he got banned on Facebook again for a month, which won't stop him here.
No.
I
think he sent me. I believe he has started a new
a messenger. I think it's a messenger.
Yeah. No, a new Facebook.
Oh, was it a new page?
Another Facebook. Another Facebook. Because he sent me a friend's request, and I sent him a message. I said, "Did you send me a new friend's request?"
I did the same thing. I did the exact
clock
same
on
thing.
the face. The clock on the face.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go friend. I'll go ahead and friend him.
Friend him.
The groove. Yeah.
So tonight we got Promethea Action. We'll wait till the end for it. That's the midweek update. Them two ladies, whether it's Susan or the other lady, or I think her name is Barbara, they do a fantastic job. And then tonight we have a brief discussion between Trump versus Cook and Trump versus Slaughter. I did like a summary thing, so because one of them things is long, the other one's half as long. And then we can talk civics as we always do. How do you feel about the Pledge of Allegiance in schools?
I think it's a good thing. I mean,
there you
go. It gives them a something to have a little bit of oomph to, it gives somebody a connection.
Right.
Lets them bring a connection together with each other, and also gives them a little bit of pride about their ancestors and the stories that they've heard. Their their young lives coming up. Every one of us have got family, ancestry, great great grandfather, great great uncle, great great, on down the line to uncles and aunts and brothers and sisters that have, have took the oath and stood up in the gap for us,
Yeah.
and held off what our current government is allowing to come into our nation.
Right. Yeah. I think it's a good thing as well. I think being patriotic, especially like you said, learning about the citizens that volunteer for their nation and their country and their state. And as you said, most everybody has had a member or has an active member in the military. I have a long list of family that were involved in that. In the service, including my sons and my brother, and so the red, white, and blue, the stars, the flag itself, it means something. It's near and dear to who I am as far as a citizen of the United States. Much like I feel the same way about the state that I live in, the state of Tennessee, the state that I love. You know what I mean? And with all of its corruptness, I'm still believing that this can change, and our state can be exactly what the people want. And so I think saying the Pledge of Allegiance and recognizing our flag for what it is important, and it should follow you from anytime you're in public school. You know what I mean? Kindergarten through 12th grade.
Well, yeah, I mean, it should not just in public school, but in private schools and homeschool. I know a lot of homeschool parents, and they do the pledge. I mean,
Right.
they do the same thing. That was, I grew up in an era where we walk in, we bring our books in, we set our books on the desk, we sit down, and then the teacher comes in, principal comes across the intercom, he does a prayer. Then we stand up and we do the oath. We say the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we start class.
So I grew up in that same era as well, where the Pledge of Allegiance, the the prayer, that kind of thing. It was something. You expected it every morning,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to find a video. Do you know who Red Fox is?
Who?
Red Fox.
You talking about Sanford? Fred Sanford?
No. Red. R-E-D. Uh-oh. Where'd he go? He's going to have to jump back in. There he comes. See if you can figure it out. Man, look at there. What happened?
I think I'm running on my hotspot, so somebody's probably tried to call, blank me out and cuts me in. But Red Fox, you're talking about the comedian, right?
Yes.
Yes. I know Red Fox very well. I was raised on Sanford and Son. Thank you very much. And I also had some of his earlier albums that was quite risque.
What'd you say?
I said I had some of his earlier albums from Vegas, which were quite risque. Oh, yes.
Maybe I can't find it. I thought I had it. He does the Pledge of Allegiance. And I really think, let's see, maybe it's in this one. It's a bummer, man, because I've never heard anybody do the Pledge of Allegiance the way that he
I've
did
probably
it.
heard it.
You probably have. Let me see if this is it.
You looking on YouTube?
No, I actually downloaded. I saved it,
Oh,
and
okay.
I was just going through my files here real quick to see if I couldn't find him. If I can't, it ain't no big deal. I will find it. We'll share it again because it's amazing.
I myself like the John Wayne.
The John Wayne.
Yeah,
Okay.
where he does the poem about the flag, the ragged old flag.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, he says. Oh, look here. Look here. Oh. Right here. I found it.
All right.
If it's the same one, I hope it's the same one. The one that I recorded is fantastic. So let me share this real quick. Sorry, guys. If this is the right one, you're going to really enjoy it. Let me know if you can hear it.
I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher, Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester. And it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge. Dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion. To the flag, our standard, Old Glory. A symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect. Because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States. Individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Listen to this.
Under God.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
That was done in 1968. Red
Isn't that cool?
Skelton. That's Red Skelton, not Red Fox. Red Fox was Sanford. That's Red
My
Skelton.
bad. Yep, my bad. Thanks for correcting that.
I have got that show with that pledge on VCR, a video.
I got it in my file somewhere.
That's from 1968, because in 1968 is for the removed prayer from school. But
I see what you're saying.
From 1972, from my first grade all the way until my 5th grade, we said the pledge and we prayed. Southern schools didn't stop just because the government said that you got to stop. It wasn't until I went to Texas in 6th grade that we didn't do it no more.
Huh.
And that's the first time that I was in segregation. I was never segregated in any of my schools in the South, in Southeast Tennessee. Anyway, Southeast Tennessee, I mean, from Maryville all the way into Chattanooga.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, man. When I heard it the first time, I probably heard it a long time ago. It just didn't resonate the same way as it does now. You know?
Oh, yeah. Well, when I mean, like I said, that's 68. I was 2 years old when that was recorded.
Yeah.
So, and I was 60.
Yeah.
So this is my second round when we come to a 4th of July that's groundbreaking. 200th and the 250.
Yeah, I was 2 at the 200th. So I was 52 at the 250.
Yeah, but I got to fire fireworks off when I was 10.
That's
Shoot each
true.
other with bottle rockets.
I got to that eventually.
And then turned around at 60, was doing the same thing.
We don't ever grow up, do we?
No.
Okay, so let's get into this real quick. The Trump versus Cook, which is the government's application to stay the district court's order preliminarily enjoining the purported firing of Federal Reserve System Governor Lisa Cook pending the conclusion of litigation over her attempted removal is denied. And then we have Trump versus Slaughter, which is the first one we're going to go over, is the Federal Trade Commission for cause removal provision. 15 U.S. Code subsection 41 is contrary to the separation of powers enshrined in the Constitution. So, which one is this one? Yeah, right here. Right? Yeah, okay. So, the Federal Trade Commission. What do you know about them there, Scrappy?
The FTC?
Yeah.
Well, they're, from what my understanding is, they are part of the executive branch of the U.S. government. They're a bureaucratic branch that was falling under the Commerce Clause.
It's probably true. So it goes into it was a 6-3 decision. Trump wins this one on the Federal Trade Commission. It says the decision was authored by Chief Justice Robert, and the Supreme Court overruled the 1935 precedent, Humphreys versus Executor, versus United States. The court held that the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, statutory for-cause removal protection violates the separation of powers ruling that the president has the constitutional authority under Article 2 to remove the FTC commissioners at will. So basically, he was trying to fire 2 of them, I think. And they sued him, and you know how that process goes. Once,
well, yeah, I mean,
you
they
know,
got their liberal judges that
Yep.
that step in and twist and turn and try to overextend their powers where they think they can make law, and they do not have the authority to make law. They're in fact the weakest link in the chain of the 3 forms of government. All they can do is produce opinions. That's all they have the power for, is opinions. Thomas Jefferson said it well when he stated that if we allow the judicial to start making laws, we are at that time under theocracy. And that's where a few out overrule the many.
Yeah. Now, they may hold some power on a federal level, but a state level, obviously, it's just an opinion.
Even on federal level, they are the weakest link.
I agree.
All they can do is provide an opinion about, and that's one of the main reasons that Andrew Jackson got impeached was because they, like I said last week, they Congress passed the Indian Removal Act is what they called it, and Supreme Court stated that it was unconstitutional. And Andrew Jackson said, "Well, let them try to enforce it," and did it anyway. And they had no power; they couldn't do nothing about it. They just give their opinion that it was unconstitutional. He's like, "Okay, that's your opinion. I don't think so. We'll do it anyway." And they just had to sit there and twirl their thumbs and deal with it, And so they found an impeachable offense where he fired a member of his cabinet, the head of the military, and when he did that, they were able to. Congress was able to flex their muscle, and because they are equal when we talk about the 3 branches, the executive and the representative Congress, they are on equal bounds. They can override each other. Supreme Court cannot. They do not have that authority.
Yeah. So you're on a laptop.
Yes, I am, for a change.
So
finally,
you're going to have to get a set of earbuds or headphones.
I've got earbuds.
So what happens is when I talk, it runs through. Don't do it right now, Scrappy. We'll wait till another day because it's not bothering anything. But I can hear me coming back through your laptop. That's
through the speaker, through the microphone.
That's why we put the earbuds on and the headphones.
I can pop them right in right here.
Well, we'll try real quick if you want and see what happens.
I meant to do that, and I realized I forgot to put my earbuds in.
You're good. But it's cool. You got a laptop, man. So yeah,
my Harley Davidson
earbuds.
Willie G earbuds.
Willie G. Y'all, this is the Gandalf of Blount County. Scrappydog. Hey, Kim, I see you're in the chat on Rumble. Appreciate you watching. Hopefully you'll show up at the
okie dokie.
The meet and greet. Look at that.
Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. That's pretty cool.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
Let's see here.
You're not muted here. See, that's a settings issue. He can't hear me. That's a setting.
There we go.
Can you hear me now? Uh-oh. He bounced. He'll be right back. Somebody must be calling him. He is on a hot spot. There he comes. Look here.
Of course. It blanked me out, but there we go.
You're just going to have to tell people on Thursdays between 7 and 10, you're on a podcast.
Really?
Yeah. Are you not?
Oh, I do tell them. Okay. Go to, you want to see me? Want to see my pretty face? Come on the podcast. You want to hear my redneck voice? Come on the podcast.
Come on the podcast.
You want to get ticked off a little bit? Come on the podcast.
Come on the podcast. All right, so we'll get back to this thing real quick. Let's see, for cause. Oh, yeah, Article 2. So it says, case for the background, the firing. Shortly after beginning his second term, talking about President Trump, in January of 2025, he fired the FTC's two remaining Democratic commissioners, Rebecca Kelly Slaughter and Alvaro Bedoya. The justification was the president claimed did not claim statutory cause such as insufficiency, neglect of duty, or malfeasance. Instead, he stated that their continued services was inconsistent with his administration priorities and invoked his direct authority under Article 2 of the Constitution, which they stopped him. The Slaughter filed suit arguing her removal was unlawful under the FTC Act and existing precedent. The district court granted summary judgment in her favor, feeling bound by Humphrey's executor, which had historically insulated the FTC from at-will presidential removal. The case bypassed the full appellate process via Certoria. Did I say that right? Certoria.
Certoria.
Is that what it is?
Certoria. Yeah.
Before judgment. He's a redneck. And I went to Heritage High School.
Only because I listened to Certoria, yeah. Only because I listened to Washington Gun.
Certoria. Anyway.
Washington Gun Law. So go to WK on YouTube and you'll learn all of them references.
Anyway, it goes on to say that the key holding and legal reasonings was the court fundamentally rejected the core rationale of Humphrey's executor, which had categorized the FTC's roles as purely quasi-legislative and quasi-judicial, which in layman's term means fourth branch of government.
Exactly.
President Trump has the authority at the executive level to fire anybody in the
executive branch.
In the executive branch.
Yep. Yes. He cannot fire congressmen. He cannot fire judges.
Nope.
But the Congress has the authority to fire judges, has the authority to fire in impeachment, and they have the authority to fire the president under impeachment. They have that authority. So like I said, the judicial is like the lowest. They're the low man on the totem pole. All they do is give opinions, and then it's up to the Congress and the president to enact on what those opinions are.
It says the majority reaffirmed the principle of the unitary executive established in Myers versus United States. The court argued that the framers intentionally vested executive power in a single president to ensure accountability and vigorous government. Because subordinate officers exercise power on behalf of the president must have the unchecked authority to remove them at will to faithfully execute the law.
Yeah.
So it says, I don't know, did we say this was Gorsuch?
I thought that was Thomas.
No, this is Chief Justice Roberts in the Supreme Court.
Roberts.
Okay, so in his opinion, it said the court today takes a notable step backward. The court today takes a notable step back towards the Constitution by recognizing the president is entitled to remove a principal officer who exercises executive power in his name. The court does not much to vindicate with what Franklin D. Roosevelt and James Madison both understood. Under our Constitution, executive power does not belong to a headless fourth branch. Roosevelt Committee 36, but must be exercised through a chain of dependence running from the lowest officers to the president and from him to the American people. And that's 1 Annals of Congress 499, James Madison. At the same time, it would be a grave mistake to think that step is enough of its own. That didn't make sense. It would be a grave mistake to think that step is enough on its own. Okay. The fact remains that Congress has endowed formally independent agencies, not just with executive authority, but with enormous legislative and judicial powers as well. And now the president enjoys control over all those powers too. From here, the only sure path is to finish the journey we start today and restore legislative and judicial powers to where they belong, in Congress and in the courts. Where they've tolerated adventurous theories long enough, it's time to return all the way to the Constitution. What do you think about that?
Good. That's a good word, but
I think so.
Yeah, but again, let's fall back into that deal. Let's see him enforce it.
What do you mean? What deal? You think when he tries to enforce it, it'll go back to court again? They'll ignore the ruling.
They'll ignore the ruling.
They'll ignore the ruling.
We'll get another president that'll come in and do the same thing, and say and then they'll have to come back and say, well, we've got this ruling. Okay, enforce it. There's nothing you do. You can't. They don't have impeachment power, so they can't do anything to enforce their ruling. It's all up to Congress. Has to be the one to say, well, you violated this law, so we're going to bring you up for this law that you violated.
But
then it's Senate is the one that tries it.
But according to this, he can fire the FTC.
Oh, he can fire anybody. Yeah, he can fire anybody at will. He can fire the head.
Oh, there he goes again. Somebody's calling him. Boy, oh boy. Wonder if he had a hot date. Scrappy. Keeps getting called a lot. You know that? Let's see. Oh. Disappeared again. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Oh.
You
killing me.
You must have a hot date, dude. That's what we was talking about.
I don't know what it is. There's somebody trying to call. They must. I don't know.
That's what I was saying. Was he must have a hot date? Some woman's calling him.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, it's up to Congress is the ability to enforce the laws that the Supreme Court give their judgment to, and so I mean, till we get a Congress that's willing to enforce the laws. I mean, they don't enforce the laws upon themselves. What think they're going to do? Enforce the laws on anybody else? No.
I don't think they're legitimate, and I think Trump knows that.
No, they're not.
I think that's why he pushes these things to the limit, so it shows the American people that Congress is not doing their job. When you have a Supreme Court justice come out and say that executive power does not belong to a headless fourth branch.
Yeah.
It belongs to the president alone. And that headless fourth branch is what Congress has created by extending these legislative and executive powers or judicial powers to these entities that are unconstitutional.
Exactly. Federal Reserve, CIA.
So that's where I was going.
All these bureaucracies that they have built upon the years.
Yes.
And given these bureaucracies the ability to regulate,
right,
and then turn around and call those regulations laws.
Right.
They're not laws because they were not voted upon the people. They weren't given to the people to vote upon. Even if the ATF gives a 90-day sentence of opinions on a ruling, they can turn around and change it like they want to, just like they did with the arm brace rule.
That's right. Yep. That's
they were told that nobody wanted it, and yet, well, we're going to do it anyway.
And
the Supreme Court had to come in and say, no, you're not. You're not going to do it anyway. They have control over those bureaucracies, but they do not have any control over our executive or our Congress.
Yep.
At all. They don't have authority over that.
And see,
but they do have it over the bureaucracies that we are dealing with.
But because Congress created all these things, the fourth branch of government, when the president comes in to try to destroy those branches there, then you have all this judicial leverage that comes after him. And again, when you hear people say that he can't do that, it's because they don't really truly understand the rule when it comes through the Constitution. So when they find out that they got lucky, he can't fire the Federal Reserve, but he can fire all the people on the board that puts the Federal Reserve person in charge.
Sure can.
Sure can. And so the reason I brought up this one first is because they got it wrong on the next one, because what they outlined right here is exactly what they were talking about when it comes to the Federal Reserve. It's a fourth branch of government that doesn't exist, but yet it has executive and legislative and judicial powers. And the president of the United States is, we are the one that.
But what they fall under on that is a act, the Federal Reserve Act. It was an act, a law voted in by our Congress, by the House of Representatives and the Senate, and signed by President Woodrow Wilson. It's not the same as the CIA and FBI, which are bureaucracies, which are entities created by the Congress to enact, to be able to work as law enforcement in the nation. So that's where the difference lies. The difference lies in the fact that the Federal Reserve is an act, and Congress is the only one who can do anything as far as removing it or tweaking it or anything like that. It has to go through Congress. The president has no control over that.
But what if it's unconstitutional?
Then that's what the Supreme Court can come in to say, that the Federal Reserve itself, the whole act, they have to sign the whole act out as unconstitutional, and then it can be removed by Congress.
So hang on. So it says the argument for well, let's not do all this. Let's see. Argument for, I got it to produce an argument why. So accountability. If an agency exercises executive power, like bringing enforcement actions or filing lawsuits, this is on Trump versus Slaughter. It's official, the FTC. Its official must be accountable to the president, and if they're not, they form a headless fourth branch that is insulated from democratic accountability. The non-delegation problem, the second paragraph cuts into the deeper issue. Over decades, Congress has delegated vast policymaking, legislative, and adjudicative judicial powers to these agencies. And that's where I'm saying that's the fourth branch, which is all unconstitutional. And we have Congress that's sitting in D.C. right now that have hundreds of aides under their, I guess their command. That
umbrella. It's under their umbrella.
Under their umbrella. There you go. That work with lobbyists and other special interest groups, and they come together with these no nonsense type of bills, shit that the American public doesn't want anything to do with, and they bring it together and they put it in these 1,000, 1,300, 1,500 packages, and they cram all this thing together, and not one paragraph is read by Congress. And the reason it's not is because of what that is talking about right here. Congress has delegated vast policy making, legislative and judicially, to these agencies. And that right there is unconstitutional. So everything that goes beyond their control, they're supposed to debate this shit out. You know, we have meet and greets, right? Yeah. We have all these politicians, even in our local Blount County bullshit, right? We have meet and greets or coffee and calls and this, that, and the other. They don't come together and debate anymore like they used to. And Congress is basically doing the same damn thing here. They don't debate anything in the House. They stand up there for 5 minutes and get their, I don't know, their infomercial ready for their, I don't know, their campaigns or whatever, or their attacks, you know, because it's there on the floor, so it makes it look like, you know, it was like it had some authority behind it because it was in the halls of Congress or on the Senate floor or on the House floor, type thing. You know what I mean? So goes on to say that agencies like the FTC, the SEC, the Federal Reserve were intentionally designed by Congress to be staffed by nonpartisan experts who can make long-term economic decisions without being subject to the immediate political whims or electrical calculations of whoever happens to be in the White House. The risk of the politicization, critics argue that allowing a president to fire commissioners at will completely undermines that independence. It risks turning independent watchdogs into political instruments where enforcement priorities can swing widely from one administration to the next, creating instability for the public and the economy. I get that part, where they're talking about every time a new president comes in. So I'm sure they set a term limit on some things, right?
Nope.
But no.
Nope.
No, not at all.
Nope. That's why we got an IRS that can come in and take you to can take you to court, prosecute you, and come in and remove all your personal property and your physical property, and put you out on the street because you didn't give their kickback dough to them illegally taken by you that is voluntarily given voluntarily with your arm. That's a mob thing. I got your arm twisted around your back. You're going to voluntarily give me $100 to protect your business.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to come in here and we're going to burn your business to the ground.
See, we could talk about the IRS on another show. And what was another one? The bar.
Oh, yeah.
The bar.
Yeah, the British Admiralty.
Is that not the dumbest crap right there? I mean,
and then they're saying, no, we're not. That does not mean the British Admiralty Registry.
Right.
It does not mean that. But you go to Britain, what's their attorney's part of?
It's a bar. Yeah. Yeah.
And what is it that you cross when you stand in front of that judge? What do you cross?
Oh, the bar.
The bar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I understand.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we're stupid. We're stupid. We don't understand that stuff. No,
we are not stupid.
That's a problem. That's what they don't like. Those of us that aren't stupid who are willing to stand up and say you're lying.
Or
you're
question
lying. We question. We question the fact that where do you get your authority from? From my bar. Or what's your bar? Well, that's the club I joined to become an attorney.
Yeah,
okay.
That you have to join to be an attorney.
You have to join.
Yeah.
To be an attorney. Okay.
I
thought you went to what, 6 years of college to do this, to get bachelor's degrees and all this stuff, but yet you got to join this club. And if you don't join this club, you can't practice. And I don't understand where in the Constitution does it say that I have to have an attorney. Nowhere. It says I have counsel. Counsel. I have someone that I, as being a human, as being a live man, living being, have to educate me in how to argue my case in front of that judge.
Right.
Not have somebody speak for me
because
I have no voice.
Right.
Under the bar.
Right. Under the bar, which is case law and not constitution.
Exactly.
Yep. So, yeah, man, we could definitely, that for sure. I love that. So I'll go over this summary even quicker because we talked a good bit about the Federal Reserve, but this was the summary of Trump versus Cook. And it says in 25, Trump attempted to fire Governor Lisa Cook for cause, marking the first time the Federal Reserve in 111 years history that a governor was fired. The removal was prompted by allegations of a mortgage fraud posted on social media by the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency. Cook filed suit, arguing her removal lacked both statutory cause and necessary I guess it's pre-termination process. Anyway, the long story short, when it comes down to this, is that this is Thomas's ruling because Trump lost. They gave just based on what you already said, because it was an act. The court ultimately decided the application on the narrow ground that Cook was statutorily entitled to pre-termination procedural protections. Because governors serve fixed terms, common law baseline requirements demand that they receive notice, an explanation of evidence, and a meaningful opportunity to respond before a final termination decision can be executed. All of that was in the act that you were talking about that Congress passed. The odd thing to me is it doesn't tell me what date that they passed that act, but it was a long time ago, the Federal Reserve
It was
Act.
in 1913
13?
when they passed the Federal Reserve Act.
I think so, yeah. And then it goes on to say that the court affirmed that protecting the Federal Reserve governors from arbitrary presidential removal is consistent with constitutional principles and a long American tradition of keeping monetary policy free from political manipulation dating back to the first and second banks of the United States. Do you think that the Federal Reserve is deeply involved in political affiliations?
Do you know who the first and second banks of the United States are?
Well, you can tell me.
Bank of England.
I don't doubt that. I was going to say
Bank of
London.
England. Bank of England was the first bank.
I was going to say London.
And then when Andrew Jackson come in, Andrew Jackson kicked them out. That was the War of 1812. Was because he kicked the Bank of England out of the United States. They had a 10-year or 20-year contract. Well, their contract ran out. Andrew Jackson wasn't going to sign it. Nope, not going to happen. Bye. See you. Don't want you. That's when they attacked in New Orleans, and that's when that War of 1812 come in, and then he had to turn around and face the music that we didn't have the money or the ability to run, as the Declaration of Independence says. Congress is the coinage of money, and so they enacted it again and reinstated the Bank of England as our second bank, aka today Bank of America.
Bank of America. Well, this is what Thomas said. He had a dissent, and it was there at the very end. It says, many do not share. It's at the end of his dissent. Many do not share the court's rosy appraisal of the past century. But if the court prefers an independent Federal Reserve Board, then its issue is not with the president, but with the Constitution. Regardless of whether unaccountable executive officers like Cook would better govern the economy, the framers rejected such a promised land of technocratic governance. Slaughter, 609 U.S. at whatever. It goes on to say democracy in America. Anyway, they instead chose government by the people. As a court, our duty is not to second guess that decision, but to uphold it. I respectfully dissent from the denial of the stay of application. He's saying it's unconstitutional. Should have never been there to begin with. Yep. And all the parts that I missed were the statutes and the subsections and the numbers.
Yeah, just based on what's been put down, written in.
It gets cross-referenced, yeah. H. Mansfield and D. Winthrop Transl 2000. They instead choose government by the people. As a court, our duty is not to second-guess the decision, but to uphold it. And so, let's see.
Well, like I said, they can't. Like I said, the only one that can do the dissent is Congress has to go in and repeal the Federal Reserve Act and remove it and take on the responsibility of coining, not paper money, not digital money, gold and silver, as our monetary system is based on what is in the Constitution.
So it says arguments that the Federal Reserve is Constitution. It says the necessary proper clause, enumerated fiscal powers, Article 1, Section 8, Supreme Court precedent, the fundamental legal precedent, McCullough versus Maryland. And then it says the arguments that the Federal Reserve is unconstitutional. The non-negotiable doctrine right here. Critics argue that the Constitution explicitly grants the powers to coin and regulate the value of money to Congress. Congress cannot legally delegate the sweeping powers to an independent, unelected board of governors or private regional banks.
Exactly.
That's a fourth branch of government, which they in the previous one said was unconstitutional and sided with Trump, while saying the same thing here, sides with the Federal Reserve.
Well, because they had to side with the fact that it's a law. That they have to, their hands were tied on that, the same as the hands were tied before on last week when we discussed that one. It was Trump overstepped his bounds in being by being executive and trying to enforce the legislative. Again, that's where he's saying he can't do this. This is Congress. Congress has to be the one to go in and we've said it's unconstitutional. Now they put the ball in Congress's hands now.
Exactly. See,
Congress is and now it's up to the people.
Yep.
Now it's in the people. And basically what it said is, here, people, we give you the ball.
Exactly.
You got the ball.
Exactly.
It's time for you to get your representatives, your senators, and say, we want it gone. We want it out of here. We don't want this central bank. We don't want your CBDC garbage. We don't want none of it. We want back to coinage. We want our silver. We want our gold. We want our copper pennies back.
Yep.
And we want, that's our coinage. That's our money. We don't want you to be able to track it. We don't want you to know what we do it with it. What we do with it is none of your damn business. Excuse my French, but it's time. It's time for people to stand up and tell them. You've been told it's unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. Act on it. Act on it or go away.
So here's the other thing. It says the coin money limitation. Strict originalists argue that the framers intended for coining money to mean physical, commodity-backed currency like gold and silver, just what you're just saying, and that a fiat system managed by a central bank deviates entirely from the text of Article 1, Section 10, which prohibits states from making anything but gold and silver coin and tender payment of debt. So we have just told you, people out there that are watching and listening, that the Federal Reserve is a fourth branch of government. It is not constitutionally bound. But yet, because of what Scrappydog said, that Congress passed these acts, they had to follow the rule of law per Congress. But we now know Congress is not doing their job. And as Scrappydog said, this has been put back into Congress's lap, which means it's been put back into the people's lap, which means the president is waiting on you for his next move to be made. You don't want the Federal Reserve and the Federal Trade Commission based on all this criteria that we just said, then we have to scream loud enough to make sure that he hears that, to say that he can say confidently that they don't want that. And based on his constitutional authority, he can make, maybe I'm saying that wrong, makes big word. If he could show us that Congress was illegitimate, he can do away with these entities without them. Just my opinion.
Well, it's going to take more than that. It's going to have to.
True.
It's going to come up to us. It's going to have to come up to us people, and we're going to have to get people in Congress, in the state rep or representatives. We're going to have to start it here in Tennessee. Is where it's going to start at. It's going to start in every state, and have our state reps, our state senators sit there and tell the federal government, we're not using your garbage money no more. We've already got states set up ready to coin their own money, to make their own coinage themselves, and tell Federal Reserve, piss off. Not doing you no more. We're not fooling with your garbage. Your paper money means nothing. Your IOU debt, that's your debt. You deal with it.
Yep,
you pay that debt back. You deal with that debt that you put on American public's back, and you go bankrupt to pay it back to the American public because you owe it. They don't.
So, do you remember when Trump was coming out talking about how do we owe debt when we protect these countries like that? Right? He made rhetoric like that in the beginning, even in his first term, and some in the beginning of his third, I believe his third term. Remember how he says, he doesn't accept that because they gave it to Biden anyway, right? So
I'm the same way. I feel the same way. That was Obama and Biden both are. Obama was not a naturalized citizen. They have no evidence to show it. He was running with a Social Security number from a dead man, he was an illegal. His whole presidency, anything and everything that he done legally needs to be wiped out, destroyed, and brushed under, and his name needs to be eradicated from the American history, as well as Biden.
I was going to say something.
And both of them, because they're illegal. They're not legally put in power. They were placed there by certain entities that the American public have basically allowed to take power. You know, what is it, Bradley?
There he goes again. It's that lady calling for him. She doesn't understand he's on a podcast. She's not going to be happy with the fact that he's ignoring her to be on a podcast. He doesn't know that I'm saying this.
Yeah, I can.
There you are.
I turned the mic on first. But the powers that are tolerated is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with powers that are tolerated because nobody's standing up and saying, no more. No, it ain't happening. It ain't happening no more. I mean, and if you think Marsha Blackburn isn't part of them powers that are tolerated, you're an idiot. Pure and simple.
Oh, you don't like Marsha?
Huh?
You don't like Marsha? Come on.
I didn't like Marsha Brady. I definitely don't like.
I was gonna go Marsha. Hell no, I don't like Marsha either. You know what I mean? So
I mean, if you are on a musical and they have to mute your voice,
so funny. So yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about before you got kicked off? Oh, there he goes again. That's funny. Well, I'm gonna cue up this video. Prometheus Action, the midweek update. Look, here he is. There you are. All right, I'm going to cue up the video, the Prometheus Action video.
All right.
And we're going to go through that. Well, we're not going to go through that, but you know how to. Oh, there he goes again. He's in trouble.
For months, Europeans have been planning strategies to deal with Donald Trump at this week's NATO summit. And it turns out the president almost didn't go.
I was very disappointed with NATO. And frankly, if it weren't held in Turkey, where my friend happens to be a very strong leader, a very strong person, it's possible that I wouldn't have attended. I felt I had to attend because of the fact that I know he's gone all out.
Turkish President Erdogan picked up on that theme of a strong leader when he talked about Trump himself.
The fact that we are meeting here today for the NATO Ankara summit and that all the leaders are arriving and have arrived, and we will be executing the NATO summit tomorrow with the presence of President Trump, which will be adding might and strength to our summit.
And 2 days earlier on Independence Day, another world leader singled out Donald Trump and the role of the United States. Russian President Vladimir Putin spent 5 minutes on the phone with President Trump. And that call has more to do with reality than all the European posturing in Ankara. Erdogan and Putin understand something European leaders and Mark Carney don't. And by the end of this video, you will too. I'm Susan Kokinda, and I've tracked British imperial management of American foreign policy for decades. Here's what I'm going to cover today. First, how Trump's visit to Turkey signals a new set of rules for foreign policy. Second, how Carney and the Europeans walked themselves into a dead end. And third, the importance of Putin's phone call and how it points to the end of a century of geopolitics. So look at how Turkey greeted President Trump. First came the ginormous motorcade and mounted cavalry escort. And that was followed by President Erdogan standing with President Trump while cannons saluted the Star-Spangled Banner. Now, by contrast, EU head Ursula von der Leyen arrived in what looked like a Turkish Uber, and Canada's Mark Carney was greeted on the tarmac by Turkey's finance minister. Seeing the difference between the reception afforded to Trump and these others will make it easier to understand what really went on. Now, President Trump made some very precisely crafted statements about Turkey.
Turkey has been a great ally for us. Turkey could have gone on the side. They know Iran very well, and they know the problems with Iran. But they've been very instrumental, along with a couple of other countries, of helping. They could have gotten into, here's some people their relationship with Israel. They could have gotten into the fight. They're a very powerful military nation. They didn't do that.
And he went on to put on the table the possibility of selling F-35 fighters to Turkey. That left everyone from Bibi Netanyahu to Mike Pence to the Wall Street Journal editorial board very unhappy. Now, Turkey has been prevented from purchases since it went ahead back in 2017 and bought S-400 surface-to-air missile defense systems from Russia. Think of that, a NATO country buying from Russia. Erdogan has also maintained contact with both Moscow and Kiev, while the NATO alliance has demanded that instead he choose sides. I'm going to get back to the importance of that later. But all of this points to something important about Turkey under Erdogan and why Donald Trump decided to go to the NATO summit to see him and not Ursula von der Leyen. Remember, Trump almost didn't come. Because unlike all other members of NATO, Turkey plays by its own rules. You don't have to like all of Erdogan's alliances or policies or his relationship with the Muslim Brotherhood. Donald Trump recognizes that he's dealing with a critical figure at a critical crossroads in Eurasia who is not playing by the rules of Britain's great game. And the fact that Turkey deals with both the United States and with Russia, and that Erdogan didn't play the expected role in backing Iran, has left the empire playing a game that's in the process of being rolled up. And that's why the Europeans and Mark Carney are showing up at the NATO summit looking very much like a group of backup singers, hustled up on the stage at the last minute to perform for a new superstar. Donald Trump is creating a new dynamic in the world, and it's the one that the game masters don't want you to see. Well, we want you to see it and understand it, which is why you should subscribe to Promethean Action's free newsletter. The link is in the description. So how did the Europeans prepare for this summit? On the eve of the NATO summit, the Wall Street Journal published a piece they'd been working on for months. They describe a secret marathon meeting in Brussels back in January, where nearly 30 European leaders debated well past midnight about whether America, the protector of Europe, had become a threat. But the man giving instructions wasn't even in the room. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, the central banker, had been messaging Europe's leaders from a British phone number left over from his London days, insisting that Europe had to deal with the fact that the old America isn't coming back. And that article even reports that MI6, Britain's intelligence service, has been providing profiles on how to manage Donald Trump. Now, the net result of all of this is that the Europeans have marched into the NATO summit with a splendid new defense posture, unveiled by EU head Ursula von der Leyen and NATO General Secretary Mark Rutte. They released it in a co-signed article in the London Economist, of course, and then in a press conference in Ankara. Rutte and von der Leyen declared that Europe is going to stand on its own without the United States. They said the era of outsourcing Europe's defense is over, and they used the new word of the day, resiliency. And they talk about the need for a stronger European defense industry that can produce at scale and speed. Now, Bloomberg's coverage of this kind of spills the beans on the real purpose of this, with a headline that reads, NATO agrees to $50 billion in defense spending to placate Trump. Maybe MI6 wrote that headline. But there's just one problem. Reality has already left Carney and the Europeans behind. And keep the real question in front of you. What do Erdogan and Putin see that these backup singers can't? Watch what happens when the resiliency slogan meets the real world. Conservative Treehouse captured the state of the German economy with this chart showing the collapse of German industrial production. And that collapse is only going to accelerate if Volkswagen's expected July 9th announcement delivers on the threat that 100,000 jobs will be cut and 4 plants will be closed down. And Great Britain, having shut down its longest virgin steel furnaces in 2024, is now down to a single plant which is on government life support. It could soon be the only G20 country that can't make its own virgin steel. The steel, by the way, that you need for warships and submarines. And Mark Carney, who's lecturing the world about the middle powers standing on their own, has just announced a prospective $20 to $30 billion submarine contract to Germany. So a deindustrializing Canada is buying submarines from a deindustrializing Germany. Talk about the mouse that roared. And at this summit, Carney also revealed what his middle power alliance actually amounts to: a bank. He launched the Defense, Security, and Resilience, there's that word again, Bank, which will be headquartered in Canada. The central banker's answer to a hollowed-out industrial base isn't a furnace or a shipyard. It's a lending facility. And Carney also established a new lending facility with Ukraine. So the financial architecture is going up, but the industry it's meant to serve is coming down. And how did they get here? Well, they did it to themselves. Carney's Globalism 2.0 still clings to the very policies, green energy, free trade, and open borders, which have already made their industries and their cultures disappear. That's the bankruptcy of Carney's middle powers. They announced that defense industrial production is the key to deterrence, the very week that VW announces massive layoffs and shutdowns. They're promising a war economy they no longer have the means to build. Which brings us back to the question we started with. What do Erdogan and Putin understand that Europe doesn't? President Trump is building a different set of alliances with nations that are intent on their own interests, and Turkey is one of those. Here's something else from that press conference. Asked about the Ukraine-Russia conflict, President Trump said it's going to get settled. And then he pointed to Erdogan, and he said,
"It will work very well with both, and we're going to get it settled, and he's helping us get it settled, as he's helping with Iran."
So think about what's actually going on. You're watching the president restructure the geopolitical map. Nations act in their own interest, and Trump figures out how to deal with them, as they are, instead of everyone playing an imposed role in a world of perpetual division. And the biggest division of all, the one the entire system has been built around, has been keeping Russia at arm's length from the United States, which is what makes the July 4th phone call so important. Here's how Putin's spokesman Yuri Ushakov described part of that discussion. Today's conversation between the two heads of state began with President Putin congratulating Donald Trump and the American people on their landmark holiday and recalling Russia's contribution to the development of American statehood. In this context, the presidents noted the importance of treasuring the historical heritage which our nations share. And that shared heritage has placed Russia on America's side against the British, starting with the Revolutionary War. It was Catherine the Great of Russia who organized the League of Armed Neutrality to break Britain's grip on the seas during the American Revolution. And when we fought the Civil War against the British-supported Confederacy, it was the Russian fleet that sailed into New York and San Francisco harbors in 1863 as a warning to London to not directly intervene. And when Russia set out to industrialize, it was the American system by name that Russia's finance minister Sergei Witte turned to. And that turn only deepened the British Empire's fear of Russia. It had marked Russia as a threat to its great game in Eurasia long before the Bolshevik Revolution. And there was more to that July 4th conversation between Trump and Putin that must have had the empire in a tizzy. Ushakov reported that the two presidents discussed the colossal potential for mutually beneficial cooperation between the two countries. And then they discussed the upcoming launch of a Russian-U.S. crew from Russia's Baikonur Space Launch Center as, quote, a specific example proving the two powers' interest in close cooperation across different fields. This is what the empire fears the most. Sovereign nations finding common ground in economic development, and especially in pushing the frontiers of human knowledge. Now go back to the collapsing economies of Carney's middle powers and their increasing irrelevance. That is what Erdogan understands. That is what Putin understands. A new world built on the American system and an American foreign policy that deals with nations as they actually are. For over 100 years, men who weren't in the room set the rules, keep nations weak and divided, and especially keep Russia and America apart. This week in Ankara, you watch those rules continue to fall apart. President Trump didn't fly to a NATO summit. He flew to see a leader who plays by his own rules. Putin didn't call to threaten. He called to remind us of a friendship the empire spent 2 centuries trying to erase. And the middle powers stood on a stage announcing a war economy they can no longer build. That's the shift, not more defense spending in a binary world of managed divisions. Instead, nations dealing with each other under the growing revival of American system economics. The backup singers on stage at Ankara can't or won't see it. But Promethean Action sees it and is fighting to advance it. And if you want to be part of that fight, go to our website and support us in any and every way that you can. This has been your Wednesday update. Thanks for watching.
I like them ladies, man. They do a fantastic job.
Yeah, but y'all look at the South siding with Britain, supposedly. With revisionist history, it's hard to tell if that's true, if it's false. But George Washington, when he's faced with the first bankruptcy of the United States, he had a choice between siding with France or siding with Britain. And his exact words were, well, it's better to side with the enemy that you know than one that you don't know.
I agree with that.
And I think that should have been put in there, because that's basically what Trump's doing. It's better to side with an enemy that you know.
Yeah.
Because we know Russia.
Yeah.
We knew Russia. We dealt with Russia in World War I, where they wouldn't join in because the Bolsheviks, they were dealing with the Bolsheviks at that time. And then World War II, at FDR and Stalin. So we it's an enemy that we know. And if they've changed their ways, since but Russia, you also got to look at the fact that Russia went through a lot of years where the World Bank had them in a stranglehold, and they had Stalin, or not Stalin, I can't think of his name, but the president at the time after Gorbachev, that the World Trade Office had them in the stranglehold and was destroying their economy.
World Trade
Stealing
Commission.
all their money. Yeah, WTC was just destroying their economy. And when Putin came into power, he threw them out.
Yep.
That's why they hate. That's why Europe hates Putin, is because of the fact that he stood up for his people, and albeit an ex-KGB, so he knows all the secrets. That's another thing they didn't like.
Yep.
He knew all the secrets, and he was able to get them out, and he was able to bring Russia back to power.
Yep.
A standalone power.
They tried to sanction the hell out of them, and they created BRICS, and it didn't work. And so, and now that
he tried to create a compact with a bunch of countries that don't like each other. They got India in there.
Yeah,
you got
Brazil,
India, China,
Russia, India, China.
India and China in there together, and India and China have been enemies for centuries.
But he survived the sanctions. They found ways to do things.
Oh yeah,
without the petrodollar. You know what I'm saying? So
they had to get away from that. Again, a Federal Reserve acted
What do you think? I mean, I think that's exactly what Trump is doing for the United States. Something similar to just that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do like their I like the spin that they use the old guard where they bring in Britain, England, London, all that stuff like that, where slowly it's being dismantled, from the system that we've been a part of since 1913 or longer, and according to their opinion, and a lot of what I believe, I see some of the same things happening. So I just never put it in I never wrapped it in a bow where it was a geopolitical thing because I sort of stick just to our country as a whole. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Well, all you have to do is go look for a book. It's called All Roads Lead to Phoenicia.
Phoenicia. I believe I know that girl.
You know who the Phoenicians are? The
No.
Phoenicians are who created money. Prior to the Phoenicians, all trade was cattle,
Oh yeah.
food,
Skins.
skins,
Yep.
stuff like that, commodities that
Yep.
people processed out of their own hands and out of the earth.
Yep.
The Phoenicians come in, and they're mentioned in the Bible because during the trip to Israel from Egypt, they crossed into an area that was Phoenicia, and that's where the guys who were sitting in the temple doing the trade that Jesus run out, the money traders, they were Phoenicians.
Yeah.
They were Phoenicians is what they were. And they were taking money for commodities for people who lived so far off that when they come to the temple, they couldn't bring the animals with them because the animals might not survive the trip. So they would trade the animals in for money and then come into Jerusalem, and then they would go to the temple and they would give that money to the Phoenicians, and they would put their thumb on the scale and make the scale lie out for the better for them. And so, I mean, that's where it all come around to. But it's an excellent read. It's an excellent read to understand where this monetary system that we're dealing with right now came from, and who those people are in today's world.
That's pretty interesting. I don't read enough books like that anymore. I could probably listen to an audio.
You can go and get it on audio.
Yeah, the audio.
Audio, yeah.
If it's interesting enough, like from the audio, then I tend to go get the book or whatever. Like I got America's, what is it called? Anyway, it's in the living room, and it talks about the founders and not Christianity or religion, but like the Puritans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
the foundation for the foundation of this country is based on. But I've got Chuck Baldwin's book, the Freedom Papers, which are all the writings of our founding fathers.
Yeah.
All of them. Every one of them that was done, the letters between John Adams and
James Madison.
Well, yeah, James Madison and
Alexander Hamilton.
Hamilton and Madison. Hamilton and Madison's papers together are extremely fundamental in understanding the creation of our representative government, what we've got, because each of them were polarized ideologies of what they expected of our representative government.
Yeah.
How they were at.
Yeah.
So they're real good to read. They're real information. They put you on your toes and let you understand the law, the writings in the Constitution and why they were written the way they were written.
Right. Yep.
And it's one of the reasons that they're not taught in school today.
Exactly.
And they should be fundamental teachings, and it's exactly why civics is no longer taught in school today.
Yeah.
For that purpose.
It's why I asked you about the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning, because you and I agree that civics is extremely important. So, I'll try to do it next week too. When we, at the beginning, I'll try to bring up something or think of something. You know what I mean? That makes civics important. You know what I'm saying? So,
civics is just your basic everyday life. You deal with civics in your basic life. I mean, the monetary system is based on civics. Your the ability to keep up with your finances, to make all your bills paid.
Let me give you a good example. Civics is if you go to a Dollar General and you buy some alcohol or tobacco related product, you have to show your ID that you're above age. Or at age or above, right? That is the law. But when I watch them take the ID and scan it across the thing, then I intervened one time, probably when I shouldn't have, and said that you don't have to scan that. You only have to show that you are of age to purchase the product. And the guy said, hey, that's okay. I'm not all right. I'm all right. So when that guy left and I went and it was next at the line, that guy's like, what do you mean? My job says I have to do that. I said, doesn't matter what your job says. That's not the law. The law says that you have to be 21 or older in the state of Tennessee in order to purchase that. And there he goes again. And so there's Ed. Hey, dude, how you doing, man? Loving life, brother, he says.
I'm back.
And so civics would tell us that, you only get to look at my ID and see the date says that I'm old enough to do that. You don't get to take it because it's got a barcode and scan it. And then when you look at me and tell me that your job, it's a requirement of your job, I get to look at you and tell you, you don't know civics. And so, no, it's not a requirement. The law says this. Dollar General, Weigel's, or whatever, they're trying to change that as a fourth branch of government because I believe that all that data is going into a file.
It's the same thing as the flock cameras and the license plate readers.
Exactly.
Excuse me. The law says actually it's not even the law. It's unconstitutional because according to the 1932 ruling Supreme Court, travel is a right protected under the wording of not the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness clause in the Declaration of Independence is what the Supreme Court ruling read on. Not just the Constitution, but they fell all the way back to the Declaration of Independence, that the right to travel. The only people who are required to have a driver's license under that ruling and that opinion were anyone who is commercially using those roadways that are paid by the public for commerce. Period.
So yeah, we just allow them to make those decisions, and we follow.
We allowed them to make. Before I've got a buddy. I got a couple buddies. They're in their 80s. They don't have a picture ID. They got a paper ID. They got a green paper ID, the same driver's license I had when I was 16 years old till I was like 21 before I had to have a picture ID. Before that, I had a green piece of paper. Had my name, social security number, my address on it, and my birthday.
Well, that is cool. But I'm going to try to keep things civics related, especially when it's you and me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, all right,
that's
man.
Good because that's my favorite thing right there
I think
that
it's important.
civics deal.
Yeah.
And it's very important. I mean, it's something, like I said, it's something that's not taught in schools anymore. They took it out because they don't want. I tell you what, Perry Grosjean and me disagree on the blunt partnership deal in a big way. We disagreed back in '99 when they brought it in to the school system, big time. He likes the idea. He thought they did a good job in dealing in helping out Heritage High School's welding class because they were falling behind, and trouble. But that was just a foot. That was a salesman's foot in the door because it wasn't 6 years later that all or a majority of vocational classes were gone.
Yeah.
They weren't even given an option for a vocational class. Ag is about the only vocational class that they had. And Blunt Partnership pushed this was right there back in the the Common Core educational system,
yeah.
and the pathway to college system in our public schools, our county schools especially. And it's like, I'm like, how many kids do you know that are going to go to college in our school system? You wonder why our dropout rate is so high? These kids aren't going to go to college. These kids are going to go to work somewhere.
Yeah.
Their mamas and daddies are blue collar workers. They didn't go to college, and they sure as hell can't afford to pay your way to college. And that's why that's my deal with Blunt Partnership. I think it should have been run out of Blunt County 30 years ago.
A lot of people believe the same.
Because it's caused more damage than it's ever done any good. And it allowed IDB to come in.
Oh, yeah.
Let them get a foothold in there.
And they do. They all have that for sure. So, well, Scrappy, it's an hour and 37 minutes, actually 38 now. So I try to keep it an hour and a half. Yeah. So, brother, I'm going to end the show, and we'll do it Thursday again, July 28th.
And hopefully I'll have this phone situation straightened out. Like somehow figure out how to moot this thing right. My phone calls are zeroed out, so they don't call in to try to aggravate me.
Hey, it's fine. You did fantastic. I mean, you went and got a laptop and everything. I'm proud.
Yeah, man.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm proud, but I think it's cool that you invested a little. I like that, so I'm happy to have you.
Well, I had one, but I can't get a battery for it. So,
okay.
I gotta get one. The phone thing ain't working. So.
Right, the phone thing ain't working. Yeah. So
and now the phone thing still ain't working. I may have to just break down and get Wi-Fi in my house as much as I hate to.
As much as you hate to. Every time you left the screen, I was like, she's calling. She's mad. She's not going to understand he's on a podcast.
I think it's my buddy Steve calling me about his motorcycle he's trying to get running. We'll have a discussion about that. We'll have a discussion on that on the 28th.
Yeah, man.
I'll give you that story. You'll get a kick out of this story.
Yeah, come see us, man. Casual Conversation, July 28th. Maryville Billiards, 7 o'clock. Yeah, man, we'll see you guys there. So, all right, Scrappy Dog. I will holler at you later, brother.
You got it, brother. Be cool. Peace out.
Peace out. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you found it informational. Scrappy's okay, man. We found a spot for him. He fits this right here, the Caught Up show. Not saying he doesn't fit in the Blount County Breakdown thing, but for my purposes, as far as a guest for Caught Up, which is not everybody's thing, Scrappy Dog fits right into that perfectly. There are some out there. Heath, I'm sure Heath will come back, maybe get all the both of them on there together and pick a topic and battle it out. Something that we all have a difference of opinion in, which would be pretty cool as far as that goes. But I got an eyelash in my eye, or trying to drop in my eye. But anyway, Scrappy Dog, pretty good. Gandalf of Blount County is what we say. Gandalf of Blount County. That's what I say anyway. So anyway, I hope you found the show informational. And I got all the information that I talked about when it comes to the Scotus opinions from Scotus itself. I believe it's .org or something like that. But anyway, you can go there and open it up. It'll show you the docket, the opinions, all that kind of stuff like that. And then if you take it one step further and add AI to help summarize what's in the actual 58 to 108 papers, then you can sum it up for the most part without having to read everything, because it has a lot of codes and annotations and stuff like that. And I'm not an expert in any of that. And so those parts don't interest me, although they probably represent or mean something on a law level, constitutional level, far beyond my understanding. So AI was a good tool to use to summarize that with, PowerPoint notes and then the dissent and the opinion from Thomas and the dissent from Thomas and the opinion from Roberts. So anyway, hit the like button if you don't mind, whether you are on Facebook, YouTube, or Rumble. If you don't care, jump over later or another day and open up. If you're watching on Rumble, open up YouTube, check it out, maybe hit a like. Same thing on Facebook if you're on YouTube or Rumble and you're not on Facebook. I don't know how long Rumble and Facebook or YouTube and Facebook will keep letting us talk this way at the moment. But Rumble will always do that. They're pretty much free speech absolutists. And so appreciate Rumble very, very much. Appreciate all the chat, Kim and Ed, and it was Kim and Ed tonight. So, but that's okay. And, but anyway, you all have a good evening, and we'll see you Tuesday for Blount County Breakdown at 9 p.m. Peace out. Resolute Exposure is a social media platform. Almost all content on Resolute Exposure is created by citizen journalists. I share content created by citizen journalists who I believe to be the best at finding facts buried deep into the abyss, or outlets who I believe to be best for verifiable information. We have to operate within their system, and we only have the information that they allow us to have. These citizen journalists who nerd out on fact-finding missions and then add their opinion to better inform me to make the best choice for me in this war of narratives is Resolute. This information war is a battle for your mind and ultimately compliance. While mainstream media dismisses social platforms as mere echo chambers for fake news, independent spaces like this prove that shared content and live dialogue actually foster deeper critical thinking. So, I am excited to share the content in hopes you'll turn off mainstream media, who I believe is just a version of entertainment. So again, welcome to Resolute Exposure.
My heart, pumping all day long. Get me the morning when darkness comes. My heart, ooh. It takes so long to mend. It's harder to leave.